You're listening to Beyond the Feed, the podcast where we break down exactly how we use cinematic photo and video to build trust, visibility, and authority for real businesses on social media.
We're Parker and Justin from Prime Edge Media. We created the Trust Catalyst content marketing system to help mission-driven brands stop looking invisible and start showing up like the business they actually are.
No theory, no fluff, just real strategy pulled straight from the work that we do in the field every single week.
If you care about how your brand shows up online, you're in the right place.
So without further ado, quiet on set please, and action. Hi guys, welcome back to Beyond the Feed. My name is Parker DeCover. I am the founder and executive producer at Prime Edge Media alongside my creative director, Justin. And this podcast is essentially the brainchild of us being tired of podcasts that are about social media, you know, talking about theory and kind of just stuff they've never done before and taking way too long to explain these ideas that have already been explained in a 5-minute YouTube video. So instead, we wanted this podcast to be insanely quick and easy and tactical, all based on stuff that we have done in the field and that we do every single week. If you guys want to join our inner circle and get early episode uploads, behind the scenes content, and live Q&As, and a whole lot of other cool stuff like interacting with me and Justin, if you find that cool, you can join us for free. Down below, it's just a Facebook group link, and you can join from there. So, Justin, what are we talking about today?
Today we're talking about the idea of long-term social media presence rather than pulling out the second things get hard or tedious or annoying, and trusting the long game, really.
Gotcha. So, like, have you ever invested in, like, crypto or anything like that? Okay. Yeah. So, when you saw it take that first dip, how'd you feel?
I mean, obviously you get a pit in your stomach.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you remember like what the worth was? Like, was it like a super big drop?
No, it wasn't super big. It was just moving with the market, but it was one of those things where I had a Roth IRA that had a good chunk of money in it, and it just was dipping, and this was right around COVID. So I was like, what do I do with this? I could use a little extra money. Do I pull it out? And that's what I did. I pulled it out.
Gotcha. So if you wouldn't, do you regret not doing that?
Nah. The amount of money that was actually in it wouldn't have changed much long term, and at the time it was needed, so I don't regret it. But if I had like a 401k or something like that where you're going to pull it out, get taxed a bunch, and you have no potential earnings moving forward, I would regret it.
Gotcha. So do you feel like you would have made more money if you would have not cashed out when you needed to?
Probably a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of the principle for what we're talking about today. So social media, I hear a lot of people talk about it like, I just need a couple really cool videos, or I just need a one really good brand video or, whatever. And that is just not the case.
No.
Because if you think about it, so Justin, if I showed up to 1 out of 4 podcasts, would you trust that I'm going to show up to the next one?
No, probably not.
No. Yeah. And why is that?
Well, because your actions don't project that you're actually going to follow through with what you're saying.
Right. So I'm being inconsistent.
Yes.
Which just so happens to be one of the 3 pillars of the Trust Catalyst social media marketing system.
You don't say.
And for those of you who don't know, our Trust Catalyst system is basically our 3-pillared system for social media marketing. It's high quality content done consistently with a clear message. The same thing said in 1,000 different ways, 1,000 different times. But today, what I really want to talk about is people love to pull out of social media when it gets hard, or not even social media gets hard, but the business gets hard.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if your revenue's dropping and, we're getting into the slow season, I want to start pinching pennies. Why is it that the first fucking thing that people do is drop marketing?
Well, I think it's mostly because most small business owners in that position are doing the marketing themselves. So a lot of times they'll have a good lull in the business where they have the time to put towards content, but the second business ramps up, things get busy, they're starting to get pulled in multiple directions. The first thing to go is the thing they know least, and that's content and marketing.
Well, so that's a great point. And what I was kind of getting at was, they don't see marketing as an investment. Mm-hmm. They see it as an expense. Mm-hmm. And I've seen that a lot where people are like, yeah, well, I'm not really sure that I want to continue to next month or whatever. And, we're just kind of doing the same thing. And it's like, that's the point, and then they get past that 6-month point and they're like, holy shit, I've got like anywhere from 100,000 to 250,000 views. Mm-hmm. And they don't realize that that's because we've been doing it for so long.
The biggest thing is that social media at its face is designed to be a short attention span fix for people to be entertained. So business owners don't really view it as a long-term thing because that's not what it was designed to do for the viewer, right? But from the business perspective, you have to have that long-term presence because people are so scattered on it.
Yeah, well, and it's funny that you say that because I feel like there's like half the business owners that see it that way, and then there's the other half that just want to market because they know that it worked for, homie down the street. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, well, they got a bunch of leads, so I'm just going to go on Facebook and then here's what I do. Here's my service. Here's my phone number.
Hi, this is my name. This is what I do. This is where we're located. Buy my stuff. Cut. Done.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah. But we're not going to talk about those people today. But as far as the whole social media piece goes, like, I think you're right. Like, I think a lot of people do feel that way. Mm-hmm. That's why I think that there's such a skewed mindset around what social media is actually supposed to be when it comes to marketing. And what I try not to tell people is like, well, if you're not going to be consistent, don't do it at all, because that just makes it sound like we just want to sell.
Yeah.
That just makes it sound like, oh, well, don't buy from us if you're not going to be consistent or whatever.
It's a big barrier.
Yeah. But in all reality, I mean, integrity is one of our values here, and I like to make sure that we're telling people what they need to hear. Because to be honest, like if you're only going to invest in 1 or 2 months of content, you might as well just do it yourself.
Yeah.
That or hire like your niece's granddaughter's dog who just graduated high school and took a media class.
It's the go-to, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the go-to people use.
Yeah. So, not their dog, but
you would fool me on some of the content I've seen.
Fair enough. Now, this is something that I hear all the time is I have way too many irons in the fire, and, it's either getting into our slow season, so, we can't afford marketing, so we're just going to stop doing it because we need to go make sales, or we are super busy and understaffed, and I'm losing my mind because I'm stuck in delivery, so I can't do social. But what would you have to say to a business owner that says that to you?
Hire us is what I would say. I mean, if I'm in the moment and someone's complaining, I'd be like, I know a couple guys, but at the end of the day, I mean, no matter whether you're busy, whether you're slow, there's certain aspects of your business that you have to maintain long term in order to keep the needle moving in the right direction, right? So even in your slow season, I guarantee those businesses aren't going to stop running Google ads if they have Google ads running. They're not going to stop paying for billboards if they have billboards up, so.
And some do.
And some do, right?
And then they wonder why they're not making any sales.
Yeah. So, and I think too, a lot of our clients are seasonal. So we have a winter where many of them are dead, especially our contractor clients that do outdoor work. But you got to figure it out. You have to find a way to still stay consistent because your business isn't stopping. Therefore, your social media presence shouldn't be stopping.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And we do get a lot of people around like month 3, month 4 who are like, man, I'm not seeing the uptick that I thought I would, or I'm like,
they can't draw a straight line is really what it is.
Yeah. And they're just like, the content's great, but I'm only getting likes from my mom and my wife. or like the only people sharing my posts are you guys.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it sucks to be putting in all of this effort. Like, I mean, fuck, dude, like this podcast, like, like right now we're episode 5.
Yep.
So we don't barely have an audience.
Yep.
And I mean, we hijacked a little bit just because of the audience that we have built over time. But at the same time, I mean, this episode's going to get like 50 views in the first week.
Well, and if people were to go and look at our social media, like our content does not do big numbers.
No.
Yet somehow we still get engagement and outside the platform engagement from people who see the content in the real world. Like we've had multiple people talk about our content to us in person that we've never even met.
I've literally had someone come up to me in a Wendy's parking lot in the van.
Yeah. So even though, and that's the big thing, people equate the numbers on social media as success, but if you are doing good content and it's reaching local people in small numbers, it's doing way more than you think.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, because like you said, they can't draw a straight line from content to ROI. And, it kind of goes back to like when Fifth Third Ballpark changed to LMCU.
Yeah.
Why did LMCU do that? Did they make more sales off of that? Probably not directly.
What? They can't draw a straight line from purchasing a baseball stadium to more sales? They shouldn't have done that. That was the worst choice they could have done ever.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'd be curious to look at like how, where their revenue went, because it's a credibility play. It's a awareness play. It's an exposure play.
Yeah.
And while no one's going to call them up and say, "Hey, I saw your sign on the ballpark," what they are going to do is think of them.
Yeah, it's subconscious.
Yeah. I get a lot of people telling us all the time, I know that you posted something today and I didn't look at it, but I know you posted it because it had obnoxious amounts of contrast, black, red, and
I heard this
gray.
Voice that just echoed in my brain, and I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not that they're not looking at the post, it did its job.
Yep.
It made them think about us for just a split second. And if we can get that every single day for the next 6 months, we start getting Facebook posts like the one that we had last week, where the guy literally said, like, there were so many people referring us that hadn't even worked with us before that this guy was like, wow, this post feels like a Prime Edge commercial.
Thank you for a new piece of content, sir.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And by the way, we're not joking. It's on the Rockford, like, services networking thing. It's not Rockford Inform, but it's the
better one.
It's not the better one. It's like Rockford Neighborhood Services or something. I don't know. So you can go look that up if you want to. But it shocks the hell out of me how many people don't see why seeing your face over and over and over and over and over in a very high quality way that makes you stand out from the rest of your industry with educational content that actually says what you do and why I should give a fuck. I don't see why more business owners aren't able to draw that line and see that value. And that's kind of what we're here to do. I'm going to be real. It was fucking hard for me. Like starting out, I was like, fuck, dude. Like, I don't know if this whole social media thing is going to work because we were just a video production company at the time. But I started posting more and more, and I started learning human psychology and learning what makes people want to, consume content. You need a solid hook. You need an open loop, and you need a solid payoff that makes them want to come back and watch more of your content. And if you don't have those things, they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
They're going to see it. They're going to look through maybe a quarter of it, and they're going to fuck off because, everybody's news feed is filled with cat videos and, the latest Kardashian update and politics and religion and OnlyFans models. And I'm just being real.
We're being real.
Like,
it's real.
I mean, Twitter is just porn, fights, and snuff.
Twitter is a garbage heap. I think too, it's when you're talking about psychology, when you have a person that only puts money into something to get a return on investment that they see as tangible versus someone who understands the concept of long-term brand building and knows that the ROI will come with that presence. It's two different ways of thinking.
Yeah.
Right? LMCU was not purchasing that stadium to get an ROI. Most likely they are purchasing it because they have a bunch of extra money and they don't know what to do with it. So they purchase it and it's a write-off. But they understand the concept of brand recognition on a larger scale that most small business owners can't even comprehend.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And, getting back to the whole like not quitting when you see that first dip. Mm-hmm. I mean, I wonder, just to put it to the extreme, I wonder if LMCU, if the marketing director were just like, you know what? We're going to put the sign up there and we're going to buy the stadium and we're going to try it for a month.
If nothing happens,
we're
done with the deal. It's over.
Yeah, if we don't see a 20,000x increase in all of our sales, which seems to be the expectation for most.
Yeah.
Which is not a thing, by the way, I promise. And even if it looks that way with other people, I promise you
there's stipulations, there's all kinds of stuff.
So much more to it.
Yeah.
But if they would have been like, you know what, we didn't see a 50,000x increase, so we're just going to take the sign down and sell the stadium to somebody else.
It's a great plan.
Yeah,
great
would
plan.
that have had the same impact?
No, definitely not. No.
So that's what we're trying to get over to you guys. And I'm sure a few of you are thinking right now, like, oh, well, I'm not LMCU. I don't have, millions and millions of dollars to spend. Cool. I don't give a fuck. It still works at this level.
Every level.
Yeah. If you're only making $100,000 a year, like this shit still works. Now, it obviously works better for people who are making anywhere from $500,000 to 3 to 5, but at the same time, it still works. And it worked for me when we were making like $50K a year.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
it works at different levels. You know what I mean? Like if you're a small local pet grooming shop and you make consistent content and you are reaching people in your local space to bring you work, great, it's working. If you're a business that does large scale construction and you're working with people all across Michigan, it's still going to work. It will work at every level dependent on what you're doing for your service and business.
Yeah. And I really want to market for a pet grooming place.
I do too.
But that's beside the point.
If you're out there and you've got a little extra cash flow and want some good content and you're a pet groomer, let us know because we like hanging out with animals all day and just petting dogs. Count me in.
Like I would probably do that pro bono. I didn't say that.
We did not say that. Cut that out immediately.
Getting to kind of our main key takeaways here. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. Don't stop just when shit gets hard. Like, oh, actually, this is a really good point. You know the emotional cycle of change, like the big U shape.
Yep.
So it starts with uninformed optimism, and your uninformed optimism is essentially your like you see something like you're getting into, I don't know, let's say like what's everybody doing these days, like real estate.
Yeah.
Everybody gets out of college and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna start a business. I'm gonna be a realtor, and then they go get their license. And then they make a few cold calls. They get told to go fuck themselves a few times. And then they go into the next phase, which is informed pessimism.
Yep.
And that's when you're like, oh, the grass was greener on the other side because there was a bunch of shit over there and shit makes shit grow. So then you continue because everyone just tells you have to stay the course. You have to stay the course. And you don't see why, because you're like, well, what the fuck? Like, it's just not working. I'm doing everything that they're doing, and I'm not making it. And then you go into my favorite part, the valley of despair. That is where all marketing and really just businesses in general go to die. That is the same thing for pretty much any industry or really trying anything. I mean, like getting into like running.
Yeah. It doesn't even have to be business related.
Yeah.
It's just anything that you set your goal on that you think is going to be good. And then the expectation of the work to get there is more than expected.
Yeah.
Right. That's all it is. It's just that journey of figuring stuff out, realizing it's hard, sticking with it, and then coming out the other end.
Yeah. So coming out the other end, what that is informed optimism. So you start finally like kind of seeing shit work. You start getting a little bit of engagement looking at social, and you're like, huh, there's some light down there at the end of that tunnel. It's dark as fuck in here still, but like I see some light. And then you get to the final stage, which I forget what the final stage is called, but it's like happy, yay, everything is working how it's supposed to.
Rainbows in heaven.
Yeah, yep. So that is the emotional cycle of change. But if you never get past the valley of despair, you're just going to go uninformed optimism, informed pessimism, valley of despair.
Yep.
Over and over and over and over and over for like that's why like when you hear people say like, a lot of people just live the same 6 months of their life, over and over until they die. Well, that's what that is.
Yeah, it is 100%.
You try something new and then you fall into the pit of despair and then you never want to get yourself back out again. So you're like, oh, grass, it's green.
Run!
And then you forget why it's so much greener over there.
I think people want things easy because we've gotten so used to having everything handed to us.
Instant gratification.
It's all it is. That's all it is. And I've got friends that have done that with jobs and passion projects. And I'm kind of the same way. I don't get to the valley of despair. I get to the valley of disinterest when it comes to hobbies. But a lot of people, it is like, this is way harder than I thought. I can't do this. I can't keep up with this. Ooh, that looks fun. I'll try that next. That looks a little bit easier. Yep. And then they realize it's the same thing. Everything is hard if you want to get good at it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, main key takeaways, like don't get into, I'm not going to say don't get into the valley of despair, but make sure that you pull yourself out. Like you owe that to yourself, especially as a business owner.
Yeah.
Like you've gotten this far in your business. So why in the hell would you stop here when you know that it's working? You know it's proven. Like all three of the pillars, consistent content, high quality content with consistent messaging, or clear messaging, sorry. All of those pillars are being used by all the Fortune 500 brands that you see doing well on social. Nike, Patagonia, like all the big, huge brands. They all use those same three pillars because that's how you build trust and stand out and actually get people to give a fuck.
Yeah.
And that's what people are missing.
Yeah.
But instead, they want to talk about themselves. And, we do all of these bajillions of services and we're just fucking amazing. But, I can't really tell you why. I just know that
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm really good at what I do.
Fig
That's
jam.
all you need to know.
Fuck, I'm good. Just ask me.
I think, too, the biggest thing that business owners can do is when you're in the pit of despair, don't exist in that pit. See the whole chart and understand that there is more to it, right? Most people, they're just caught in the moment and this is all there is. Shit. Awful. Not fun. But guess what? If you see the big picture, you understand that there's more to come. You just have to stick with it.
100%.
Yep.
So, key takeaways here. Don't fucking stop.
Don't stop.
Like, seriously.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Make sure that you just keep pushing, even if it is just your cousin and your husband, liking everything. Yep. Like, that's okay. Because guess what? Yeah. Those are still eyeballs.
And people will go and see the catalog of content still.
Yeah.
No matter who's seeing it, it's still there.
And if you don't believe me, by the way, that like just your, couple views, like 50, 60 views on every post that you get. If you think that that's not a lot, I want you to do me a huge favor, okay? I want you right now, unless you're driving, then don't do it right now. But if you're listening to this in a safe place that you can go on Google right now and just look at a picture of 100 people. If you stood in front of 100 people, most people would pass the fuck out if they had to just talk about their business. Now, there are a lot of people that are like fine with talking on stage, but for most people, if you're standing in front of 100 fucking people and you're just like, hi, this is what I have to offer. Yeah. That is the exact same thing that you're getting on social with every fucking post. Every single one. Yep. Like, even if you get like 10 views, that's a lunch and learn.
Yeah.
So I just want you as in the viewer, to kind of change your perspective on how you see your progress. Measure as many things as you possibly can. So like, even if you're measuring by the amount of content that you're posting, well, guess what? If you post one thing today and then one thing tomorrow, you have a 100% increase tomorrow in the amount of content that you've made. Mm-hmm. Just the more things that you track, the more ways you can win. I believe that's a Alex Hormozy quote. The more ways you can track, the more ways you can win. So just make sure that you're doing that.
Yeah.
So I think those are our key takeaways, and I don't want to keep blabbering on about this because I think you guys get the point. If you guys have any questions, let us know. But I want to get to the lesson of the week. So this one is pretty interesting. We actually learned that the comment this word below posts aren't doing as well for long-term brand building posts. We're getting a lot of people, especially with contractors, we're getting a lot of people having their friends and family and even some ideal prospects saying, hey, I think it's a little like salesy for you to be, post this word below, because they're not used to seeing that. And I totally get it. And now here's a huge caveat to this. The huge caveat is if it's just your mom and your sister and your friends and whoever telling you that, oh, well, it looks cringy. Well, they're not your ideal client unless they are. Yeah. But they are like, never take advice. It's the same thing that goes back to like, never take advice from people who you don't want to trade places with. You don't want to take advice from people who aren't your ideal prospects. Yeah. So if they're not going to give you money, don't listen to them. But if they are, in this case, I probed a little bit. I'm like, okay, who told you this? Because when people say, oh yeah, a lot of people have told me, then you narrow it down, it's like 2 people.
Yeah, I know. And it's someone that is in your family.
Yeah. But this was actually like, no, a few prospects and a general contractor I work with said that it was cringy. I'm like, oh, okay. Then let's nix that and let's do a little bit more of a subtle call to action, and kind of a, if you're interested, go here type thing. So we do a lot of like posting a link either in the caption or in the comments. And most of the time people know where to go now. They know to go to your profile. And that's also why we're offering profile facelifts very soon here in the Trust Catalyst system. And actually by the time that this is out, we might already have it out.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm really good at my job, so that's why we don't have that. But as long as it's easy to find what your next step is supposed to be, either your link tree or your website or call us or whatever, then you're fine. So I think that's kind of interesting, and we're going to start experimenting with that with some of our other clients, because the comment this word below posts, like, they work for some, but they're designed to increase engagement and get people that raise their hand and say, hey, I want to talk to you. But at the end of the day, I feel like the whole ManyChat thing and all that stuff is kind of getting boring. It's getting transactional, where like, I know that if I comment a word, I know you're just gonna like automate something over to me. You're just gonna say, hey, download this thing, and oh, by the way, what the fuck are you here for? And that's what everybody does, and then half of them don't respond. So anyway, I would recommend, at least right now, to get away from that. And
most of that stuff.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing that too. And, obviously, if it starts like drastically dropping everything, then we're going to be the first to tell you guys. But for now, I would say just try and, stay away from it if you can. I think we covered everything that we want to cover. Just don't fucking give up. Even when you feel like you're down and your metrics aren't going anywhere, they probably aren't. But you know what? They're not going to if you don't stick it out. This is an investment. Just like if you were to buy a stock and you were to pull out the first day that it started to dip a little bit, you're never going to see the upside of that stock. So you have to treat social media like that, and really all branding and marketing material like that too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys want more of this stuff, obviously, follow us on Spotify, follow us on YouTube, or go into the Facebook group, wherever you happen to be listening to us. And if you found this useful, please share this with another entrepreneur friend. Just because I know, like, I wish that I would have had this type of thing, super quick and tactical when I was getting into all this stuff, rather than the hour to 2 hour long podcasts that are just blabbing about shit that you can find on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
I really wanted to make sure that this is a very, like, in the weeds, like, we're actually doing these things every single day, not just, we think that this would work because it worked for this dude I saw on Instagram. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want more, make sure that you join the Inner Circle for all of the live Q&As and live Q&As, BTS content, the opportunity to interact with me and Justin, and early episode uploads. So the public gets episodes on Monday morning at 9 a.m., whereas the Inner Circle gets it the previous Friday at 6. So it's pretty cool. We also might start doing live episodes. I feel like that'd be kind of fun.
That would be interesting.
So those are the perks of being in the Inner Circle. If you guys want to get in there, it's free. All you have to do is click the link below if you're not already in there. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please let us know. And we will see you in the next one.